Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Unsung Heroes, and today's guest is someone I've known for a long time. He was in effect my first boss in my first band, and we've known each other, well, far too long, and like all musicians, he's got a story to tell, and I'd like to introduce you to Robin William Jones. Robin, how the devil are you? Nice
Paul,
to see you.
Pleasure to see you again. Great to see you, mate.
I'm obviously aware of our connection, but going back before then, you know, the early influences, based on what you've sent me, were, I would imagine, along the lines of sort of like the rock influence was obviously strong early on before you sort of started forming a band. Can you remember what your first guitar was?
Yeah, I mean, I think I borrowed somebody else's guitar and it only had 2 strings on it, and I played Wild Thing, 1 string, and Electric Funeral by Black Sabbath. do. Remember that 1 string? That'd be probably 72. I did that. And I've actually still got a recording of me doing that, and my cousin playing on biscuit tins, and you know,
Brilliant.
That was it really. But I think, you know, you listen to music when you're a child. You know, the first thing I had was She Loves You and My Boy Lollipop in 1963. And it's pop, and then Help by the Beatles, 65. Bonzo Dog Doodah. I remember Dave Edmunds' Love Sculpture, whatever. I can't remember. This pieced together. And then finally, I think, but all of that's pop-based stuff. So Top of the Pops. You know,
that's what you're exposed to.
Saw Procol Harum, White Shade of Pale. So that sounds a bit different.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you realise there's different genres. You were not aware of it at the time. And at that time, of course, rock music was and progressive rock was starting. You know?
Sure.
And then you realise kind of where you fit.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I wasn't really just a. I wanted to play. I wanted to play solos. I've always been an improviser. I like improvising. You know, for me, it's so when I heard Ritchie Blackmore, Deep Purple in the early 70s, I knew that was cool. And then Jimi Hendrix, obviously. Maury Gallagher was another early influence. I loved him. Yeah. And fortunately, I lived next door to a guy who was 2 years older than me, David Shipp, who became my manager for a while. And he could afford to buy albums before me. So and his bedroom was next to mine, and he had, you know, Led Zeppelin 3 when it came out, Jethro Tull, Rory Gallagher Live in Europe, just good music.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and we chat outside, and you know that's how it became. You know.
Well, I think, to be fair, that's how so many
do.
people start their musical relationships. It's through friends. I had a similar thing. Was an old friend of mine called Noel Sadler. Again, and he was, as we'll touch on, no doubt, he was a fellow printing student, and he introduced me to some stuff. And the same thing with him. I'd go around his house on a Friday night, and we'd sit there and he'd just play me albums, you know, Rye Heap, James Gang, and all sorts of stuff, you know. And then what happens? I don't know if this happened to you, but it certainly happened to me. You find your own sort of niche with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it was obviously apparent from hearing you and knowing what you've done that the sort of area you were moving to, rooted in the rock, but then was moving out to add other flavours. But what was your first band?
I was fortunate again. Not only did Dave live next door, Danny was a good guitar player. He became he was quite good, a very good guitar player. He started about 2 months before me, so he'd be making a racket in his house. I'd be making a racket in my house. We got together a band called Alloy. Just me and him, a bass player, I think, or a drummer, and we still got some tapes of that. And we're both into Deep Purple massively.
Yeah.
And he was quicker than me at the time. I was the singer. I was a singer really then, and a rhythm guitar player. Right. He was the lead guitar player. And I never liked that. No. I used to have to put rhythm guitar vocals, and he could put lead guitar. And I wanted to. So in the end, of course, that was not going to work. So we ended up forming our own band. That's how I formed. I joined a club band with Steve Nash, the drummer in the band that we played with, and this guy Philip. I remember him. He made us wear green shirts, and we used to do the working men's club, and we were doing things like bloody Jim Reeves. Yeah, he had a whole set of stuff, the classic things you do on the club circuit. Of course, yeah. But then I was allowed to do some of my stuff, so we were doing Wishbone Ash, Deep Purple. With Jim Reeves, and it was crazy, and I still got recorded that sort of.
But the thing about that is, so many people I know that was a great grounding in a lot of ways, because you learn your stagecraft. What you learn to understand how a song's structured. Absolutely. Because you're playing so many different types of stuff, and also within that framework, you're getting an opportunity to express yourself in the way you want to and would do eventually. You know,
absolutely. I mean, we didn't have the books and the stuff that we can learn with them. I mean, I had the classic Burt Weedon Playing a Day book.
Sure.
But what the clubs, I was playing fifths, obviously a lot of power chords, and I didn't. And to understand proper chord, big chords, well, you really had to do stuff like that, you know, because a lot of that music was bar chords, you know, learning sevenths and minor sevenths and things, and major sevenths.
Yeah,
that was pretty important, because a lot of the rock stuff was pretty much blues, pentatonic, and and so it's important, you know, because I'm totally self-taught. I was totally self-taught.
Absolutely,
you know, I never, no one taught me. I had to literally slow down records.
Yeah.
Slow down records.
That's how it was. Well, you say. I mean, but you know, take Keith Richards. Exactly what he did. Him and Brian Jones would sit in that awful pit of a flat that they had in the early '60s, which has become a national heritage site.
They didn't spend too long in the pitiful flat, did they?
No, that's true. And but that's what they did. They'd slow the record down and listen to how it was played, you know. And then in it, because you're copying it in effect, you're also enabling yourself to become who you are through it, you know. Because we're all influenced and we all take it from somewhere.
But the old Danzet record player had 16 on it. 16,
that's
33,
right,
45 and 78.
That's right, it did.
I mean, Christ.
Yeah.
So I always wondered, what's 16? So you could actually halve the speed of 33. I remember trying to work out Hocus Pocus by Focus when that came out. I thought that was amazing. What a bloody great tune that was. The solo in it. And I'd slow it down to try and get... You know, little things like that, but you couldn't. I mean, 16. That's bonkers. Well,
nowadays you've got an app that will do that for you. You know, exactly that. So when did Oyster sort of develop? I mean, this was an opportunity for you to finally, from what I can glean, sort of start to express who you wanted to be a little bit more.
Well, me and Steve decided that the music that we were playing wasn't really our cup of tea. I mean, it was, you know, it wasn't. It was great, you know, it was good to get on the stage and play in front of people, but I wanted to be in a rock band.
Of course.
So we found this guy in Bedworth, a bass player, we auditioned him, and we became a three-piece.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, I believe that, because I was singing and I started to write my own music then.
Sure, yeah.
So I really wanted to write my own stuff. And I realised that singing and playing lead guitar is it's a big job. I should be paid twice for that. You know, simple as that. So I tried to find a vocalist. We found this guy called Graham, and none of us liked him. He was a right prat, but he was sick. But so he didn't ask them, so we couldn't really find a lead vocalist. So I ended up having to sing and do it. But it was a good, you know, it was good practice, good training.
Yeah.
And then this guy left, and we got Trevor in on bass, who was local. Trevor Bennett, remember?
Yeah.
And became a three-piece.
If I remember rightly, Trevor had was he a cousin of somebody quite well known?
He was actually. I think it was Bernie Marsden.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Who
I've since met and worked with, although sadly he's no longer with us. I know, you know, joined that great band in the sky. Yeah, and I always remember that. I always remember him telling me, because he was at college as well. I think if I remember, he certainly met up with him there one time. We were having lunch with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, my cousin's Bernie Marsden. He plays in Whitesnake." You know, I said, "Oh blimey, you know, there's something to aspire to."
Well,
so you know, the Oyster thing. So would this have been kind of the end of '77 when this really...
76. 76 it started autumn, and then 77 it just got a little bit better, and we were playing a lot. We played residences. We were starting to play Stratford and Warwick and Leamington. I don't know places, but we had in rugby particularly. It was great at that time. Rugby.
Yeah, it was.
It's just pretty crap now, but then you know there were some great gigs. The Woolpack was such a lovely gig.
Yeah, it was.
And
I remember it well.
And so. And as we progressed, and you know, we changed. I wanted to expand the band a bit, and then I got into, I suppose, jazz rock and stuff like that. So I wanted to be a bit like that as well.
Well, I've got to tell the story that the people out there have got to know, because I've mentioned it on a couple of my videos, but this is the man it relates to. When I first met Robin, we were at college together in Printing Technical College in Matthew Bolton in Birmingham, part of Aston University. So he always said to me, "Did you ever go to university?" I said, "Yeah, I went to Aston University."
Yeah, I still say that.
it's good for the kudos, if nothing else. And we met up in working together on these block release courses, as you remember. And anyway, we talk about music all the time. I mean, you know, you do. And Robin said, "You know, we're looking for a singer." I don't know if you did actually say that, but that's kind of how I remember it. So I said, "Well, I've never been in a band." I said, "I'd love to give it a go."
So you hadn't done anything before that?
No, nothing at all. So I I gave you a cassette.
That's what we did.
I was talking of dance sets. This was a music set, one of those little ones, cost me about 35 quid. And you had a little microphone you could plug in, and you could do your own version of a song while it's playing through the speakers and record it. So I did Black Dog by Led Zeppelin, and I gave it. Yeah, exactly. I gave it to Robin, and he returned one. He said, "Oh, you better want to see what I sound like." And he's playing along to the Mahavishnu Orchestra. So
there wasn't any vocals on that.
No, there wasn't. But you were showing off your guitar playing, so that's what I wanted.
Oh, right.
So that's what. And I remember my dad said, my stepdad, I should say, said to me, "Yeah, it's so bloody good for you." He says, "You'll never be any good with him." So that was an inspiration to try and prove wrong. And the first time I performed with you, the only song I did actually was the worst possible song for a singer to do. It was Freebird.
Was that Ben Memorial Hall?
No, it wasn't. It was at the Woolpack the week before.
Okay.
And then the following week on the Thursday, we did that Memorial Hall.
Okay, yeah.
Where I came on and did half the set.
I've still got a recording of it, but it's really bad quality.
I know. Well, we can get that touched up as a memento for us. It's good. I don't know about anybody else, but I sound about 6 on this. Robin played it to me a couple of years ago. I'm up here somewhere.
Well,
but it's the first gig, and that was it for me. I was hooked. So the reason I'm doing this now and I can talk about my music career is down to this wonderful man here. So I owe him a lot. So
I was thinking about Freebird because I already had the plan. I thought, well, any tune where the singer sings for about 2 minutes and then there's a 9-minute guitar solo.
Exactly.
That's the kind of stuff I like.
Lesson then,
I could have done that with Child in Time or
I know. I'll Stairway to Heaven.
Specs, Trucking Deep Purpose. And
yeah, exactly. I know. But we worked together for about 6 months, as I said. So I left to go back to Wolverhampton to sort of do stuff, and I'll get into other things. After Oyster finished, where did you go musically after that? Because by this time, of course, you'd established yourself with your, knowing you as I do now, that the jazz, fusion and prog influences were coming in strong.
Well, we had the final version of Oyster was the best. We had a keyboard player from Wolverhampton. Mm-hmm. We had I thought it was a great band, but we never. Who did we have on vocals? Was it you? Hold on a minute. Do you remember a keyboard player?
Yeah, I do remember. I introduced him.
You were still in the band then.
Yeah.
Sorry, but after that, I suppose, I don't know what happened. We fizzled out. And I think musically things were changing a bit. I formed a band called the Lab Techs, where we were playing still heavy progressive stuff, but then we started to kind of shorten stuff out, and it became a little bit punky. And there was a big thing in Coventry at the time, ska, specials and stuff like that. So I just thought, okay. So I started writing these kind of shorter pieces, kind of in a ska way, but quite progressive, quite complex.
Yeah. Interesting, mixing ska and prog. I've
still got record. They're really good. I'm the lead vocalist. I've got a completely different voice now. It's not like rock voice. It's more like it's like Susie and the Banshee.
Sure,
meets. So I quite like that music. We started playing. It was a different load of. I still played a few solos on it, but it was mainly shorter pieces. Like a lot of people at the time, they had to change.
That's right.
The days of playing Smoke on the Water, and I remember when the Sex Pistols came out. Actually, God Save the Queen was 77. I remember playing, buying the single, learning it, and playing it almost the same week of release. And we'd have that in the Damned. And we were still playing Smoke on the Water in the same set. And All Right Now, of course.
Of course.
So it was just weird.
Well, you're covering all the boundaries. But the irony with that, of course, is people of our generation grew up with all that music. Well, and you go to concerts now of bands that were around at that time that we liked. And they're all people of our age that are there. There are a few, but it's rarely that many younger people, And the same goes for punk concerts and stuff. People that love music when they were teenagers, they stay with that music generally. They'll embrace other things, of course they will, but essentially that's the core of where they first fell in love with it, and that's the bit that they carry with them forever and support forever. Absolutely. Partly because there's a sort of nostalgia attached to it too. It's again, I can relive my youth again, And the irony being, as we're reaching retirement age, we're rock and roll retirees. We've actually got the opportunity to both play the music we love, and go to see concerts by those people that we grew up with,
Absolutely. I mean, most of the people at the time, actually, the Dan guitarist, he lived in Brighton, and the bass guitarist, he's quite a famous guy, and he used to come and see me play, and I got chatting to him, and he said, well, of course my favourite band was Yes, you know. And so they chat, a lot of those guys listen to the same music, but they thought, well, it's a bit like Sting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a jazz head, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Thought, what can we do to make some money out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's call the band shorten the numbers down.
Yeah.
You know, give it a bit of punky attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the guys did that.
I think a lot of that as well was that the people did a lot of bandwagon jumping. And to be fair, if you wanted to get on, you had to do what you felt that people wanted. To a degree. To a degree, because if you do chase that, you'll lose who you are. Now, I know you were in the printing trade, and I know you stayed in it for about 14 years.
14 and a half years.
So you finally decided, I mean, throughout that period, you were still obviously still playing. But what sort of projects were you involved in?
Well, I mean, it really lots of things actually. I did some really good stuff. I mean, I think after Labtex, we formed a band called Windscale. Now it's really into jazz, so jazz fusion, rock, funky. So it was mainly instrumental music. And we got a guy called Jeff Castle from London who had just played on Ian Jury's album New Boots and Panties.
Gotcha.
And he does the Moog solos on Wake Up and Make Love to Me and What a Waste. They're great tracks anyway.
They are. And they were a great band.
I rang him up and he said, I'll do it. So we did 2 gigs with him, and I thought, oh, this is the music. You know, I love this stuff. Yeah. And we played some good gigs. And then it was kind of more jazz fusion. And then I formed a band in Birmingham with some great musicians. Roger Innes, bass player, you probably know him.
I know Roger,
blues. Mark Fletcher, drums, another great musician.
Yeah.
We had a band, we won some competition. We used to play Birmingham Jazz Club, stuff like that. And I was in the Birmingham Big Jazz band there.
Fantastic.
So I was really starting to play.
And this period was all through the time that you were still...
All through the 80s, the 80s up to 88, and then suddenly... Women, as usual, that usually changed my whole perspective of things. My girlfriend at the time wanted me to go and live in Brighton, and I thought, oh, really? But actually, I thought it was a good idea, so I changed my job. I got it because of the great NGA at the time. You could just find out if there's any vacancies.
Exactly, yeah.
And I got to this place in Worthing, and I was always I wasn't very good at typesetting. I mean, I'm typing, you know.
Yeah.
But the guy said, oh yeah, I'll offer you the job, and I thought, wow. Good money as well.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, here we go. So I lived in Worthing, and then I gave up that. I run 2 newspapers. I said to you, Crawley News and Gatwick News or whatever it was. And I was like a mogul, you know, like a bloody paper mogul. I had a company car, Ford Orion. Remember them? And then he offered
burgeoning Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, he offered me redundancy, and I thought, right, you know, no one seemed to work in Brighton. Everyone seemed to have a guitar on their back, even on a Monday morning. So I thought, right, this is it. Bought a pair of Reeboks running shoes, got rid of the company car, and thought, right, what next? And I started meeting people, started meeting great musicians, formed bands, formed duets.
Yeah.
And I'd already had duets doing flamenco, crossover fusion, and I formed the Passion Dance. Had already been going, actually. We used to do the American Air Bass circuit. We were called a Tamla Motown revival band. And we weren't. We were nothing like that at all.
I love it, yeah.
We got one bass.
Salsa Motown. Samba Motown.
One American Air Force base was so into Tamla Motown, I can't remember, it's a famous Air Force base. And the guy said, I joked him, because he said, I hear you're Tamla Motown revival band. And I said, oh, that's a load of bollocks, mate. I'm more into jazz fusion. He said, well, if you don't play Tamla Motown, you're going to get lynched here. So we didn't do the gig.
My.
But we still got paid for it. The manager didn't know that we hadn't done it or something like that. I always remember that. Bloody bonkers.
I know.
But no,
I know they're very... there's that famous scene in... the Spinal Tap movie where they turn up at the Air Force base. Do you know any polkas? You know, and that was it. That kind of summed it up. You know?
Oh God, you didn't want to mess with those guys. We were lying for a teeth because I didn't really want to do whatever we were supposed to. Well, no, we did. I Can't Stand the Rain. It was a great version, but that's about the only kind of soul Tamla thing we did. Motown, it was a lot of my own stuff. I know.
Yeah, I did a gig like that once where we just literally played all original material, and it was a function gig, and the crowd were just going like this. You know, and my mum was there. She said, "Oh my God, what was that?" I said, "That's called creativity, Mum." You know.
No, you can't. It's go on. You were going to say something there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you see, there's so much going on. You've moved away from being a rock-orientated guitar player. Now, there is a story that I wanted to bring up, which is fascinating, actually. That happened while I knew you and was in the band with you, which was when you got into some lute playing.
Oh man, John Dowland.
Yeah, which is a wonderful instrument. I know.
I've always been into classical music ever since I was a kid, and lute music. I don't know, something about Julian Bream's Lute album with John Dowland. I just love that. That's another desert island disc for me. I mean, I love lute, and I thought, well, why don't I learn to play lute?
Yeah.
And I started learning a couple of lute pieces, but I wasn't quite of the ability. Yeah, I'm much better now at classical stuff,
sure.
but then I just wasn't. And also, the lute's a weird instrument.
Yeah. Well, the story I'm going to try and link with that is quite an interesting one, as you know. I'm sure you remember it, but you told me that one evening the phone rang at your house where you were living with your mum, where we used to rehearse.
Penry Road.
Yeah, absolutely. And your mum said, "Oh, there's somebody on the phone for you," and you went and answered the phone, and the voice said, "Is that Robin?" And you said, "Yes," and he said, "Hi, it's Richie here. I hear you're into lutes." And so Richard Blackmore rang you up to talk about lute playing.
Well, what happened was Stuart Smith, the guy who knew Richie Blackmore, he said that Ian Pace was looking to form a band and you'd be a good guitarist. And Richie said, and I thought, I'd get out of it, man. You know, I don't know what was happening. It would have been, I don't know, in between bands. But no, I know it's a bit weird, really, isn't it? You know, thinking about that, I couldn't. Yeah. But
were you intimidated, or did you feel?
To be honest with you, I thought it wasn't him. I mean, I just couldn't believe it was him.
Yeah.
I thought, why is he ringing me up? You know.
Yeah.
He sounded genuine enough, but at the time, I just thought, surely it's not Richard Blackmore. And he was saying, I hear you wanted to do some with Ian Pace. I'm thinking, really? I mean, but you know, stranger things have happened because I've had Steve Howe ring me up as well. Yes. And
well, I was going to say, we have this little thing in this I call the name drop bin, which we do every week. You know, it's a little, and one of the guys suggested I put a ka-ching on there every time, and we're already close to filling it up already, people. But so how did the Steve Howe thing come about? Because that's really interesting.
Well, because actually, it's funny, isn't it? When you move to a place that's really quite a cool place to live, you realise there's a lot of famous musicians. Dave Gilmour lives around the corner. Gary Moore lived in the next street, you know, and at the time, what's his name, Roger Dean, the illustrator, lived literally in the next road to me, and a girlfriend at the time, and their kids went to Steiner School. Because of course it's right on Steiner School. So, and Steiner wanted to make some money or to do some funding and stuff like that. And Roger was going to sell the original logo that he'd made for Virgin Records, which is that famous logo with the two naked ladies. And we decided to do a concert to raise some money. And Roger said, well, and my band at the time were big in town. We called Yorubu. And we were the funk band, jazz, whatever. We could do anything.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what should we do? I said, let's get Steve Howe on guitar. I said, really? Okay. and then
that's confidence for you.
So Steve rings me up and says, what should we do, man? I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can't wait for it. So I've got Yes songs. I've got all these bloody great Yes tunes. And the band's going, oh no, we're not going to be able to do that, are we? Roundabout and all this. And the tunes that Steve wanted to do with the unlikely stuff, like My White Bicycle, which a band that he had in the 60s.
That's right, yeah, which he was in with Mark Bolan.
That's right, and then he wanted to do Heat at the Moment by Aisha, which I thought a bit MOR, but all right.
Yeah.
We did a couple of Yes tunes, one from Fragile. I can't remember the other tune we did, but then but it was yeah.
So how many gigs did you do with him?
Well, we did one at Hove Town Hall was the gig, with Roger Dean's backdrops. So we had the Yes backdrops. Yeah. I've got pictures of all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
That's great.
And then I got into I went to go around Roger Dean's house, and he's moved to Lewis now, but. I played at his 50th birthday with my duet, where Steve Howe was there and everyone was there. Actually, the guy who did the Pink Floyd cover, everything.
Brilliant.
So we were the duet was actually the best thing I've ever done. Is I've had 30 years of playing kind of this flamenco-y classical guitar duet, which most people seem to like. So but I've been into. I go to Trading Boundaries.
Yeah, I know it well.
Which is Fletching. I mean, I know the guy there who runs it, and of course it's like. I've seen all the guys, Steve Hackett's played and Focus, all the bands like Cole Palmer, ELP. In fact, I'm in a band with, I play in a band with his son actually, Aaron Emerson. Keith Emerson's son lives in Southwick, of all places. I mean, it's funny.
That bit's full enough, by the way, people. It's now overflowing. Trust me, it's getting silly now. I'm going to get another one out in a minute.
No, it's all right.
But but that's part of the deal.
But if you've been playing 50 odd years, you're going to meet people.
Of course you are.
I mean, I've been on MTV doing a pop thing where Davina McCall was doing it, and I met the Spice Girls, and I was being made up with the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
I mean,
which one were you?
No, seriously. It was...
So I was going to get round to that because you're rushing ahead here.
That was 96. Actually.
I was going to say when you turned pro, and I read in the bio you sent me that in '92 you formed a band which did a lot of this stuff you're talking about. What were they called?
Well, Yorubu was the funk band, and we started playing this residency in Brighton called the Casablanca, and we played Friday and Saturday night till 2 or 3 in the morning. I mean, it was hard work, but my God, we were the band in town.
Yeah.
We had the best musicians in the band. We had a Brazilian singer who was really interesting, and then we got a tour. We did a tour of Brazil because he knew how to get a tour. We recorded an album which was recorded in America with a horn section, and then Donald Fagen wanted to put us do something with us. Steely Dan's guy, but we were a band that nearly made it. I just don't know what happened. It just we had the CD still is brilliant, 2 of the CDs, but we just didn't. It just didn't happen, and it was good music. It was there's a bit of rap in it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm playing a band with a rapper now, but he's playing bass at the moment with his daughter. And but he was a great rapper for its time. He was a bit like Chili Pepper guy who can rap, but not in the kind of way
I know
Eminem does it. But it was a really great band, but it just never happened. So
but that's the story of so many people, though, Robin. Let's be fair. I mean, every single person that's going to do these has got that story to tell, because the vagaries of taste never match with what the business thinks he's going to sell or whatever. I was chatting to Val yesterday on her video, and she said that when she had some interesting big management people come along, and they also, the first thing they want to do is the thing that they've been attracted to, they want to change it. And that's so often the case. And as we pointed out, that you get a core of people that you like working with, and they spark each other off, and there's that understanding, a subliminal understanding of music that you don't get from just anybody. You'll have an initial enthusiasm because you appreciate what they're playing, and then it builds to an understanding that is so hard to replicate with just random people coming in all the time. And then they want to bring in, so you get that, and you've worked really hard to get it, and then the record company comes along and says, yeah, that's great, let's change it. Because they want to sell records, that's the business. But it's always baffled me. Maybe and I've had many successful musicians have talked about that very thing. Like people like Tom Petty have said, A&R men, what is wrong with them? They always want to change everything because they think they know what the market's doing. If they let the musicians have their freedom a bit more, the audience would come to them.
For me, I know there's not many people can do it, but that's why I've always admired John McLaughlin. I mean, he's 83 now, but he's never really. He's always done what he wanted to do. He's never been. He did a couple of weird albums with a slightly, but really he's done what the hell he liked. People. And I admire people like that. But then there was a time, and maybe you could do a bit more like that. But now it's not as now I don't care. Now I'll do whatever I like. But But it was difficult. But I always admire people who said, no, I want to do this.
Well, Bowie always said that, didn't he? He said, don't chase the audience, let them come to you. And I mean, he took a long time to. I mean, he changed his identity a lot to.
I mean, the thing that Bowie had, he was actually wonderful.
Yeah,
he was a legend.
Well,
so whatever he did, it was going to be good. Or maybe not Tin Machine. I don't know about that. But I mean, he's just one of those blokes, just a great artist.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't matter, and I like the fact that he changed.
Well, so did I. I mean, and his audience embraced it. But so did the Beatles. To be fair, I mean, you look at the original Mop Tops, and then within the space of like 18 months, they go from being Mop Top lovables to these acid-drenched weirdos making orchestral music for the sort of dope heads and acid people.
Well, they heard Bob Dylan, didn't they? And in fact, that film of Bob Dylan is exactly the same in a way, because Bob wanted to pick up electric guitar and people didn't like it.
No, absolutely.
But actually, the Beatles, they changed. They'd heard Bob Dylan and thought, these thoughtful lyrics, we don't. This "She Loves You" stuff.
No.
They changed. Obviously they were started to take drugs, or whatever, but. No, it's quite amazing. I mean, what a band, what a great. I don't know anybody in classical music, jazz music, who don't like the Beatles.
No. If you don't like the Beatles...
They're so important. If you don't like the Beatles, then really...
Well, we won't go there because we might upset too many people. So Aruba, how long did that go for? Was that something? Because you'd done the tour of Brazil, you did an MTV, which you mentioned.
Well, that was with a pop singer at the time who was Noel Gallagher's missus.
Oh,
a baby, or was it the other Noel? Which Noel Gallagher was it? No, it wasn't Noel Gallagher. I think that's a singer.
No, he's the guitar player.
Oh right, no, it's the other guy, the other one. But that was his. She had a single in the charts called Mr. Friday Night or something. Wanted a band to back her. So Aruba again, perfect band.
Yeah.
So we did we did Richard and Judy.
Oh, brilliant!
No, what happened was we did MTV. We did Vin McCall and Spice Girls. And then what happened was, I know what happened. This is my singing moment that I should not. The second side of the single was this kind of soul-y thing. Get back and relax. And they had this backing vocalist who was obviously a black singer, a really good soul black singer. And I decided on MTV Live to mimic this guy through the microphone. And it was obviously not. And the manager of us is, what is he doing? He's going. So I got the sack that day.
Oh no!
Then the next day they did Richard and Judy without me. I was pissed off.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it was because I did this stupid thing, trying to be clever.
Yeah. Oh, we all make mistakes trying to be clever. It's funny you mentioned that about a similar time. I did a session for this guy who said, "Oh, these songs we're doing are going to be used in a film. It's going to be put out on the BBC." And it was called Soul Survivor. So the song was called Breaking the Link, and what it was it was a bit it was an on the road story. It had Ian McShane in it, Margie Clark, but they had Isaac Hayes was in the band, Antonio Fargo and two other guys who played Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch. Cut a long story short, he brings over this imaginary band to do a concert in Liverpool, right? And they're rehearsing. And there's Antonio Fargo singing the song, and he's miming to my voice, which was ridiculous, because but there you go, such is life. But
miming's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it is funny.
I mean, I have done it. It's a very strange thing.
It is miming. I only did it one time, and even then I wasn't really miming. I was quietly singing because you get a better inflection in the shape of the mouth and stuff to make it look a bit more realistic, But that's another story. So Aruba, did it sort of...
URUBU. Urubu is a bird of prey in Brazilian language, and it's such a great thing because URUBU and also the Urubu the bird. It's a great band. Now we fizzled out, and still play. I still see some of the guys. We performed to do a special gig, but I mean, I probably won't do much now. But
no.
But I've got other.
But it's always there if you need it, sort of thing.
I'm still playing with this Latin guy that I've been playing with for about 33 years. We've got gigs with him. But, I'm still playing.
Does it after the Aruba thing? What was the next project that was sort of something that you really saw? Oh, yeah, this is great.
Because I've had Passion Dance has been a duet that's lasted about 30 plus years, more than 30 years. Christ, I've had a few different relationships with different guys, and my last one was 24 years with him, and then before that was about 4 years with someone else, and 3 years before that. Sure. At the moment, I haven't got anyone, but I'm still playing this electrical classical guitar and a lot of stuff, so I still play that stuff. And I've got a fusion band as well, which I haven't played for a while. Did Love Supreme Festival, if you know that.
Yeah.
Great festival.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which is more fusion. That's the electric guitar with me playing more kind of Jeff Beck, McLaughlin type stuff.
Great, wonderful.
But mainly it's mainly acoustic. A lot of classical nylon strings is my kind of thing. It's been my thing for years and years.
Sure.
And I felt people would book you for a wedding playing that kind of music.
Yeah.
It's kind of like really flash stuff, like Alvin and Paco de Lucia and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah.
But they quite like that because it's a kind of a background.
It is, yeah.
But it's good quality.
Yeah, and it also gives you an opportunity because you can play pretty much anything because to them it's just a sound.
Yeah, the sound of a nylon string guitar.
The mood that they're in
doesn't annoy people,
Yeah, exactly.
Even people who don't like jazz.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Hey, or jazz.
Yeah. So. How many albums have you been involved with over the years then?
I used to be a session musician as well.
I was going to come around to the session stuff.
But before Fatboy Slim, there's a label called Mr. Bongo here, which is a famous label. And I've done loads of sessions on 12-inch singles, and some of which has gone around the world. I've found a couple, and one of them was quite famous. I'm playing this, but it's all you go in the studio and you play. It was the first time I'd gone into a studio and just played a little bit, and I'd go, well, can't I play some more? No, mate. We're just going to splice that through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
Right, okay.
Well, the same happened for singers, as you know. You'd go and do the BVs or a line, and you do your own harmony on the one chorus, and they say that's all you need to do because we'll fly it in for the rest of them, and you go. And it kind of feels a little unsatisfying, doesn't it? Somehow?
Well, it is. I get a solo now and again where I could play a bit of jazz guitar, Benson type sounds, which I quite like, that. But a lot of the time, it'd be like just they splice you in.
Yeah.
I did a lot of livey music work with a guy. Mm-hmm. He's got gold records on his wall. He's a character. He used to be in a punk band, a prog band called Jonesy from the 70s. They did quite a lot of work. He was a mellotron player. Great guy, a real character. I used to do loads of work with him. I've done loads of stuff that's been on programmes, but I never really had royalties because I never really was interested. I just used to do all this stuff. He'd pay me, and that was it. But I don't do much. I do stuff with him occasionally. But now I'm a bit older. I don't know. I don't need to work so much.
Well, you've got to prove yourself, though, Robin. From all the stuff you've talked about so far. The development of your musical journey, I hate using that word, but it's true. From being an out-and-out rock guitar player with all those early rock guitar player influences, moving on through, I knew about both McLaughlin and Paco de Lucia. I know you mentioned those to me. You got your Latin influences going on there. You've even incorporated a little bit of hip-hop in this thing.
Well,
so, and why not? Dance music and everything.
I'm a massive collector of records. I collect records. I collect CDs. So my genres are everywhere. I mean, I listen to all sorts of music.
Classical stuff,
Classical, obviously, but I listen to all sorts. Some jazz. I've got a massive jazz collection, like old stuff jazz. Not any jazz. In fact, any. I like the idea of improvisation is good, but I also like heavy metal music.
Sure.
I go to see heavy metal bands. I've got some great famous bands that I love to see. So I've got all sides. I'll go to a classical gig at the Barbican, and I'll go and see Opeth, death metal, kind of like growling. Or I'll go, there's so much.
It's good that
it's great.
It's good that you haven't got blinkers, both from either visually or from a sort of audio point of view, and that's impressive. And I mean, what do you think? I mean, up to date now. So essentially, you pick and choose when you want to play. You do what you want to do gigs wise when they come in. If you think, I'll do that, I fancy that. And is it still a band situation, or are you mainly just doing duos and trios now?
No, I mean the Latin is a trio called Reunion with a percussion player and two guitars. And he sings in Portuguese,
great,
which I quite like. Although he's a bit of a pain in the arse to work with, but no, bless you, Al. Sorry, you're lovely. But no, and then I've got a fusion band that I haven't done much recently. I've got this band with a girl who's, I suppose it's a bit folky.
Yeah.
It's like folk meets Taylor Swift type stuff, and it's good. 4 chords, and I'm like, oh, is this it? but I can invert them and put loads of delays on them, and I quite like it. We've got a first gig at a festival in a couple of weeks here.
Oh, fantastic!
And we're only going to be able to play in half an hour, but it's going to be very different. But I thought, no, I don't mind this.
Yeah,
but it's a bit of fun. The fact that she wants me to stand up on stage with her about 4 times her age, that's fine. Some guitarists can get away with that, I think.
Yeah, I think. Far more than singers. Let me tell you.
Because I'm a teacher at school. I've been teaching kids at school for about 30 odd years. I've been at one school for 27 years, and they still, we still do it. I do concerts for the kids. I worked at a private school, which is. I mentioned Jimmy Page's son was there.
That's right. Yeah, I was going to give
and Jimmy came along to the gig on with this band, and he said, "Oh, interesting solo, mate." And I was going, and then I said to him, "No, you've seen me play more times than I've seen you. You saw me play about 3 times in concerts."
Yeah.
And then one concert we were doing in the hall because it's a private school, and we were doing. I got the kids to do "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's in the audience, and he's ringing fucking Brian May up.
Oh, brilliant story!
How about that?
That's great. Now the bin has exploded.
No, the bin has exploded. Yeah.
Well, with the constraints of time on these things, as is always the case, I mean, Robin and I go back a long way. As I said, this is more of a catching up with old friends as much as it is a video to put out on YouTube. But that's the essence of this show. But as you know, only too well, people, we like to finish with a song. And I said to Robin,
I feel like Freebird.
yeah. No. Let's do Help. But I suggested a song that I first heard him sing when I joined his band back in '78, which I know he used to do and rather enjoyed. But I've never sung it with him before, so I've had to get the words out. So that's why I'm looking at my phone. So while Robin gets his guitar, I'm going to do what we normally call a little bit of housekeeping. And
you want me to set up while you're talking?
Yes, please.
Oh, right.
Yes, please. As I say on all the...
Sorry, what tune?
It's Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah. As I've said on numerous occasions, these channels only really work as long as people are supportive of it. So we need you to subscribe, people, and make comments, hopefully positive ones. But I can understand, criticism. I'm grown up and big enough to deal with that. But overall, I just want you to enjoy these because I'm having a great time making them. And I hope from the positive comments I'm getting from people, you're enjoying them as well. I'm hoping that we're finding stuff out about people. That's a bit loud. We're finding out about people, things that they didn't know. But as I say at the beginning of every show, all these musicians have got a story to tell. And they're all unsung heroes because they all deserve to have been far more successful than they actually are. So we're gonna leave you with a tune. And I'm going to attempt to sing it with Robin. And I want to say thanks so much, everybody. I've had a great time. It's been great to see you. Robin, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
I really appreciate you doing this. And
I haven't actually played this in about 4 years. It is in D, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine. Go around the chorus, go around it once and I'll come in. Go. Tin soldiers and Nixon coming, we're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming, for dead in Ohio. I gotta get down to it, soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been gone long ago. What if you knew her, found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know? Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Solo.
One more time.
I want to do a 10-minute guitar solo.
I wanted to say thank you to Robin, and we'll see you on the next Unsung Heroes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and all the tracks that Robin has chosen that he sends to me, and all the information about his career will be put in the description under the video. So if you want to find out more about this wonderful talent, it'll be there for you. Thanks again, folks.
Thank you, Paul.
God bless you. Bye-bye.